right, we're now into hour number 2, and I want to open the phones up, as we've been doing once a week or so in the last month, for active duty police, military. But also, if you just retired or you're the wife of a police officer or husband, whatever, I want your view. I would ask for judges to call in. I know there's a lot of judges even here in town that listen. I've talked to some of them. They're pretty freaked out about all of this. What do you think of the government saying we'll kill citizens, not just secretly arrest you, and the president's a dictator? Doesn't mean he won't leave office. The office has been turned into a dictatorial post of the elite. 1-800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Open phones for police and military right now. And I'll get more into this exclusive military to designate U.S. citizens as enemies during collapse. And it confirms the Pentagon to run the FEMA camps against U.S. citizens, that it's military, domestically. Then we've got other crazy articles. Flashpoint Falcons, Britain's talking about a new war again with Argentina and Brazil. IBM predicts mind-reading machines. I've got another report here of a whole bunch of Stinger missiles going to China. Things are crazy. In a ship they caught in Europe. A bunch on Ron Paul, how they're coming after him. I haven't even gotten into that yet. But Ronaldo, who is a current police officer somewhere in New York. Ronaldo, thanks for calling in. What's your view on all this?
Very shocked at I'm not shocked at what's going on. I've been listening to you for years, and it's just shocked to see everything taking place as the way you said it. You know, and I remember I seen you years ago when you were in New York, and then then I started doing research on you. I seen everything you said has come to pass now. As they say, the chicken is coming home to roost, and it's like the public is just brain dead. You know, I try to talk to my coworkers, and, some of them listen, and then some of them don't, and it's just sad as, the state that we're heading here in this nation.
Well, I tell you, New York City is going to be a scary place to be in a total collapse.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this, Alex. Some of my coworkers kind of know something is going on, and a lot of them are getting their guns and food, ready for what's going to go on. And I've been doing that already, so I wouldn't be surprised if it looks like New Orleans here.
I hope not. The colleagues that are waking up, what are they saying?
Oh, well, you know what? They feel that something is not right, as far as like the way the economy, just everything is going on, but they just can't, put two and two together that everything is, we're being directed, like you said, into this planned implosion, so they just can't put their head on it as far as like what's going on, but like I said, I've tried to put them on to you. I've tried to put them on to alternative media, and some of them are waking up.
Well, God bless them then. That's good, because I would not want the job the police are going to have in this situation. Again, there's a good chance, because we got the jump on the globalist, that a lot of this isn't going to go the way they want. The problem is it's like a big war machine, a juggernaut, a big engine. They've turned it loose, and I don't think they can even stop it now. So it is going to be a very interesting time to be alive. I got news here where they're saying they're going to hit Iran soon, that Obama's behind it. The Israeli press is saying that. And the globalists aren't just going to try to take over domestically without launching a war, because they know that people at a primitive level tend to rally around the government, even if it's run by criminals. Look what happened in Germany. Hitler wasn't very popular the last 4 or 5 years, but he had him in a big war, and so 20 million Germans died. There were only 60-something million. Think of that. Think of what following orders got them into.
Exactly, Alex, and I've been telling but just telling people in general just about, we need to make sure that this war does not happen, or else it's going to lead to World War III. That's the last thing we need, and that's why I'm telling everybody to vote for Ron Paul. I've been pushing, out that message.
Well, God bless you, sir. I appreciate you calling. Anything else you wanted to add, Ronaldo?
First of all, one thing about the racist thing in Ron Paul, I remember...
Stay there. We got to go to break. Stay right there, Ronaldo. We'll be right back to you. Only 8 days or so left, and it'll be 2012 time, as the globalists openly try to establish world government based on an anti-human eugenics or Nazi-type situation. Freeman, Matt, Mike, Perry, and others, you're coming up. A lot of times when I open the phones up for police and military, active duty or currently serving, I say, I want to hear what you think about this legislation to arrest citizens we've covered in the last month and let the military engage in domestic operations and even kill citizens outside of law or charges. And normally the phones load up. We got one police officer from New York City to call in. He was almost in the last segment if you just joined us. And he said some of the other peace officers are waking up. They know that a big collapse is obviously a serious probability now, from being a possibility to a probability, unfortunately. We're in a depression, undoubtedly. It's just incrementally getting worse. But if you just joined us, we also have been talking about this new document that was pointed out to us on the federal bid website, .gov site, saying, military to run the camps, to take over all of society, to take over local government. Government will wear transponders that they're blue friendlies. Everyone else is an enemy. And I had the Department of Defense whistleblower on who pointed it out to us. Now, an hour after we linked to it, it was pulled. When I mentioned it on air, they started changing it and removing stuff. We'd already saved it. But a lot of the key stuff was still there. Then they just pulled it and said, Department of Defense employees are not supposed to, remember, do not post classified material, implying it was classified. But we have it saved up at Infowars.com, and there's other files of it online as well. And we also put it up on a Flickr account, images of it. But it's all there. And we've also found some other versions of it people saved, so we're going to link to those. I meant to tell Aaron to do that. But going back, Ronaldo wanted to bring up the Ron Paul thing, and I was going to get to that later. They're bringing up newsletters. This is a controversy since he ran for Congress. He was in one term back in the 80s, lost because he was a Libertarian member. Then he got in as a Republican in, 96. I supported him. I interviewed him when he was campaigning in 96. And so I've been interviewing Ron Paul for almost 17 years because his district used to come right up into Austin. But I'm going to go to our guest. Our guest caller. I wanted to just point this out. I'm not an apologist for anybody. Ron Paul back then, newsletters were the hottest thing in the world. They're still hot. But political newsletters were churned out. And at one time, by 92, he had 14 newsletters under his name. And I remember learning later why he fired some people, and no one knew this, and I probably shouldn't talk about it. He ended up firing a whole group of people that worked for him because of it, before it was ever an issue. When he was first in Congress in the 80s, and this is on record, you can go look it up, he voted for the Martin Luther King Day, the only time he's voted for something that's unconstitutional. He's on record, because it is unconstitutional just to have, quote, days for a person. That's not in the Constitution, but he did it. And he said that's the one time, because he admires him for standing up for what he believed in and fighting corruption and the power of liberty. That's what Ron Paul's into. He's always been. You can pull him up on Morton Downey Jr. in the 80s talking about stuff like this and AIDS being manufactured to kill black people. Somebody who wants to be racist towards black people but doesn't want the HIV put in the vaccines to kill them. And so, there's some stuff like, they'll stop, the black folks in L.A. will stop rioting when the welfare check gets there. Well, that is what dependency does. And Ron Paul says he didn't write that particular one because it'd be like JonesReport.com. And I've had a lot of articles written, probably 95% of it I haven't written. You just pick through it. 14 different newsletters simultaneously being published, and one was a special supplement edition that on record he didn't write. And they go, what, but your name's on it? Yeah, at the top, Ron Paul Report. So that's what goes on. So Ron Paul fired people back whenever he noticed this. It became an issue in the mid-90s. And it doesn't matter. Ron Paul in speeches and Ron Paul in events and Ron Paul working in inner city hospitals, at charity hospitals, who Ron Paul is, has always stood there. And he doesn't want all these wars killing brown people everywhere. So it is this use of race that they always push to divide people. And they brought this up against Rand and said he wasn't a medical doctor, kidnapped women, worshipped aqua Buddhas. All of it was just made-up craziness. Had people dress up in hayseed outfits, which is insulting to rural people, whether they be black, white, or whatever. They all pretty much dress the same, folks. I've been out in the country quite a bit, live there. Families at a ranch. The black folks dress like the white folks, and they're John Deere hats and overalls. Dress up like that and go out with racist signs saying racist things, implying white people who wear overalls are a bunch of racists. They got caught doing that. The Democrats did. So you've got all these dirty tricks going on. You know, Obama unfroze the money for Africa for basically forced abortions, where they tell the women, you want to get a small payment, have an abortion. So see, killing black babies isn't racist. But out of thousands and thousands and thousands, I mean, if you've got newsletters published every week, 14 of them at one time, quite a big franchise. And Ron Paul said, yeah, the company with the 20 or so people was making millions a year, you know, profit or gross, not profit. But yeah, it was, and I apologize, and it was immoral that I didn't have total control over all this as a full-time practicing obstetrician delivering babies. And I let it get out of control, and I apologize. And so they only bring it back and bring it back because they first told you he could win. Now they say he'll discredit the caucuses. They're going to cheat him on the black box in New Hampshire. Be ready for that. But there's a strategy to beat it. We got a special guest coming up Sunday. We'll be on Christmas with a whole new show. But going to Ronaldo, a police officer in New York, I wanted to preface it because I meant to get to that earlier. Go ahead and make your point, sir.
Well, I wanted to say I was listening to the neocons on radio last week, and it was disgusting at how they were bringing up this point about the newsletters. You could see of how all of them had talking points. They were demonizing. So, at the end of the day, like you said, he didn't have control over the newsletters. And it was
yeah, but how come Limbaugh can have a thing called Obama the Magic Negro, clearly racist, and it was okay, though? I mean, that was airing 3.5 years ago. Not some thing saying, yeah, the blacks, when they get their welfare check, and it'll stop rioting, and then somebody else wrote it. I mean, what's more, Obama the Magic Negro that the neocons are doing, or what Ron Paul didn't do?
Exactly. You're right about that, Alex. But thank you very much for all the work that you're doing, and I'll try my best to, keep spinning the information out there.
Well, let me stop ranting because I cut into what you said because I get so excited. Ronaldo, other points about Ron Paul. You say you're talking to the other police officers. Is any of this demonization of him working? Because polls show he's only going up. And, oh, by the way, I have an article right here. CNN poll, Ron Paul, most popular Republican amongst non-whites. I mean, is it rhetoric people want, or do you want the brown people to stop getting smart bombed by the Predator drones?
Well, you know what? I keep showing people videos of Ron Paul, like information on the internet, and a lot of them are starting to believe in him because they've seen that he's consistent, unlike the other candidates who just straight out lie in your face, like Gingrich, Romney, and Michelle Bachmann, who wants war when she was never even a veteran. But like I said, thank you very much for the hard work, Alex, and I'll continue to spread the information out there.
Ronaldo, let me just ask you one last question. You say you've been awake for a while talking to other police officers. Are they starting to wake up?
Yes, some of them are. But, at the end of the day, you can't reach everybody, and I move on and, put the information out here and there, Alex.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your call. All right, I'm going to go through some more calls and then get into the other news I haven't covered yet. But I do want to hear from people. I mean, are you concerned that we now confirm the FEMA camps are going to be Pentagon run and that the American people, period, are designated as an enemy? That's what Northcom did, made this a war zone. They've said the whole America's a battlefield. We'll kill whoever we want. And then you find out it's not even about, quote, Muslim extremists. It's all about good old boys. It's all about self-sufficient people. Like that reporter we had on Mr. Hunter yesterday. He's worked for CNN, ABC Nightly News, all of it. And look at him. He's over there making more money, reaching more people, being an in front of the camera reporter and writer than he ever did working for them. And he's not compromising. And he said, Alex, they're not the mainstream media anymore. We are. And you know what? That's true. That's why they're panicking. They may sit up there in some $20 million studio, and we're in our, $200,000 studio, and it's all flashy, and they got some person in a $3,000 suit. It doesn't matter. You could dress up a rotten, pig or something in a suit. It's still going to have maggots crawling out its eyes. I'm going to your calls here. I just wanted to go over some of this. Neocon says Ron Paul would appease Hitler and the Nazis. That's an InfoWars article. I mean, they're saying he loves Nazis now. Twilight Zone, USA Today story about Ron Paul leading an Iowa headline. Ron Paul is still not in the lead. They admit he's in the lead, but they say that doesn't matter. Just like the governor said, a vote for him isn't real. He's just saying your vote doesn't count. New rules make it possible for Republican establishment to steal nomination from a candidate they don't like. They've changed that now so they can come in and basically steal it. The following rule was adopted by the Republican Party. Any presidential primary caucus, convention, or other meeting held for the purpose of selecting delegates to the National Convention, which occurs prior to the first day of April in the year in which the National Convention is held, shall provide for the allocation of delegates on a proportional basis. And it goes into how they can then manipulate that. Here's another one. CNN lobs veiled charges of racism at Ron Paul. Got the video up at Infowars.com. It goes on and on and on. Let's go back quickly to Mike and then to Dale. Mike in Canada. Okay, your points on Ron Paul. Go ahead.
Yeah, even if the first time you ever heard of Ron Paul was looking at his newsletter things, after a couple of links, you'd get right to Prison Planet. You'd get to his answers in the debate, and you would realize if especially if you're already skeptical of the mainstream news. And I got your shirt that says the answer to 1984 is 1776, and I think Ron Paul is 1776.
You bet he is, and that's why they're pulling out all the stops. I mean, look at Rand. He wasn't connected to a few newsletters they dug out of tens of thousands, and they had people dressed up in hayseed outfits saying racist things and saying they supported him, and it turned out they were on the person he was running against campaign. I mean, they are going to do everything they can. Again, the whole liberal system is about divide and conquer. They're always claiming, oh, we're friends. What did Margaret Sanger say? She said, we got to pose as liberals. We got to hire black leaders so we can kill these weeds. We got to get them aborted. We're going to have to pose as liberals. And she was a confidant of Adolf Hitler. Again, I mean, of course Ron Paul's newsletters had disdain for the welfare class, both corporate and private, and talked about people on welfare and stuff. Again, there's a difference between Ron Paul. You watch him in those different talk show, TV shows he went on that are on YouTube, Morton Downey Jr. and all the rest of them. And people get up and say, how dare you not want to attack other countries and have a giant military and want to and legalize drugs? You're a traitor. We need to, and he would get up and say, well, you're fat. Maybe the government should come make you not be fat. I mean, Ron Paul used to be really aggressive. Let's go ahead and go to, I appreciate your call, Mike. Let's go to Dale in Kansas. Dale, you're on the air. Listing on XM, channel 166. Welcome, sir.
Well, good to be here. I have some information that was handed to me or told to me the other day that surprised me. I have some friends in Arkansas, and they told me that they were talking to somebody, the contractor that is building the Urban Assault Training Center at Fort Chaffee, Fort Smith, Arkansas, as we speak.
Uh-huh.
They're building this thing, and it's an assault center so that they're training people to go into your neighborhoods.
Oh, yes, sir. We have that going back decades where it's American neighborhoods. The role players say, I'm an American, don't take my guns. That's in my police state films. And guys, search Fort Chaffee Urban Assault Center. But, yes, they're building giant urban assault centers everywhere. And they have dual use for other countries. But the main focus, and all armed services for at least 5 years have dropped everything and are training even the mechanics and logistics people in urban warfare, mount, and crowd control for America. And, yes, sir, it's all public. What did they think of that?
I don't know. When I heard it, it just kind of shocked me because I've listened to you guys for quite some time. But also, Big Red 1 was moved out of Germany to Kansas for a reason. It is one of the biggest military groups that there is. So back then, this is 2 years ago, this is when I started paying attention to... No,
that's why I said yesterday, Big Red 1's coming for you. They've been assigned to Brigade Homeland, and obviously it's much bigger than a brigade, but it's called Brigade Homeland, and 1st Cav and all of it has been assigned, if needed, for direct action against the American people. That's Stars and Stripes in Army Times 3 years ago, sir. Just Google Brigade Homeland starts U.S. tour. Guys, type that in. We'll show it to them. They say they want a final domestic security force of 379,000 combat troops to occupy the United States. That's public. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. But when I was there, this is when they brought them back. They had to expand the base and everything. This thing goes miles. It's not just acres. This thing is miles that they are housing Big Red 1. And also, I wanted to make a point. I was driving a truck, and I used to haul heavy haul. And I went into Camp Shelby, Mississippi. And as I was leaving, I seen one of these FEMA camps. And it just blew me away, the roll barbed wire fence and the whole bit around the top, and they have a gang walk on one end of it, and they have porta potties on one end of it, and it just shook me.
Let me stop you. People ask where there's a FEMA camp. It's in my film, The Takeover. They've got hangars out at the old airport with bolts and chains, fences inside, and porta potties. Stay there. I want you to tell people what you saw, and we can go look on Google and actually pull it up. Tell us the name of the camp again and everything. We'll pull that up. Yeah, a lot of these camps are in Louisiana, Mississippi. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be joined by Don Browning. He is a retired Oklahoma City police officer, U.S. Marine, and Vietnam veteran. He worked the K-9 unit, was part of the search and rescue team at the Murrah building after the bombing. And this is going to be an amazing interview. Again, it keeps breaking down the information that's in the film, A Noble Lie. I want to go back to your calls, and I haven't even gotten to the news yet on the subject of North Korea, the economy, and the Stinger missiles. But I'll get to them one way or the other, and we'll cover it all in the nightly news tonight. That's one good thing about doing the nightly news. A lot of the most important stuff I never get to on the radio. But right now, let's go back to Dale in Kansas. So tell me the name of the base, where you were, what area of it was. We'll go look on Google Maps. But yeah, that's what the Model Emergency Centers Establishment Act says, is that it's already there at bases, stockade facilities, and that it's set up and waiting for emergencies. And now we have the documents saying the military is going to man them. And we already knew that from some other documents, but this shows it's all been green-lighted right now. And it doesn't mean it has to go there, but it shows that criminals that have gotten control of our government think that they're going to be able to just totally steal everything and have us sign on to all their derivatives and launch all these new wars because they've got control of the government through continuity of government. But Dale, you say you were a long-haul truck driver. When did you see this? What did you see?
I've seen this about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
About a year ago. And, this is when I was on the base in Kansas delivering a truck. I moved a lot of these military trucks to the bases.
Okay, so what base in Kansas is this again?
Well, the base that I was pointing out is that has the FEMA camp is at Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
Okay, Camp. Yep. Okay, Camp Shelby. I've seen that on some of the credible lists before. Camp Shelby. A lot of the stuff's there. Camp Shelby, Louisiana. Okay, please continue. Tell me what else you found.
Well, as I was leaving, I've seen this camp. You could tell it was not normal. It's just like a Gestapo prison camp. I mean, had a rolled barbed wire fence and everything. And also, while I was up in South Dakota, I was delivering something up there. And I was out in the middle of nowhere. And I like helicopters and stuff like that. And I noticed this helicopter. And it was coming at me and coming at me. And as it got closer, I paid a little more attention to it. It had no markings on it. All it had was the trilateral symbol on the belly of it, and black as coal. And you tell people this stuff, and they don't believe you. I mean, they just don't believe you. And I put my eyes on this stuff, and every time I hear about it.
What about Camp Shelby, Mississippi? From my memory, that's a pretty big base. What area is this in with the classic stockade and the barbed wire facing in?
Okay, it's on the. As I was leaving, I saw it. So it was on an exit route out of the base. So if you'll look it up, it's on the outside. It's not on the outside of the base, but it's as you're leaving the base of the exits. It's not on the entrance of the base.
Describe it more. Describe why you knew it was a FEMA camp.
Oh, you can tell. I mean, with the real barbed wire fence, and all it had was tents in there, little tents, and a whole bunch of porta potties on one end of it. And then it had. What really shook me up was when I saw the gang walk up on top of, up at the top of the fence.
Sure, it's got an area for guards to walk around with shotguns.
Right, just like you'd see in a prison camp. And that's what really shook me up, and that has always stuck in my head. And then, you know, of course, I watch this stuff every day, like, and I listen to you and stuff, and I listen to other things. And there has been, you all was talking about the buildup of police. Well, Interstate 70, I traveled it every day across Missouri, and there has been a buildup of police, state troopers, county sheriffs, everything. I would say it's probably tripled in buildup.
Oh yeah, they're building up for the bankers to kill America, and the cops, a lot of them can't help it. They're simple-minded. They're like, well, I get the power because I'm a good guy, and things are collapsing, and we'll just have to take their guns then. God bless you, my friend. Also, in some of the other news, Obama prepared to attack military action. Again, Obama prepared to take military action against Iran. Dennis Ross, a big Obama advisor, says if Obama draws the conclusion that certain kind of steps should be taken against Iran, he'll take them. Yeah, because he's completely blackmailed and controlled. Here's another one. Dozens of people die in roadside bombs in Iraq right as the United States begins to officially pull out. It has all those advisors and embassy staff and mercenaries there. And Tony Cartalucci, writer for Infowars.com, has a big article out. In a move that almost defies belief, it is so brazen and hypocritical, many will not believe it, no matter how many State Department officials confirm it. The U.S. has been guarding a terrorist training camp inside Iraq with U.S. troops and is planning to relocate them, possibly in a freshly abandoned U.S. military base in Iraq, while D.C. lobbyists work feverishly to have them delisted, armed, and sent to conduct terrorist operations in Iran. And this is what 2-3 weeks ago, Steve Pachinik, former State Department official and terrorism expert, talked about. The MEK, which is an admitted real terrorist group, is basically working for the U.S. government. I mean, what group isn't? Because this isn't the U.S. government, ladies and gentlemen. It's offshore mega banks that are totally ruthless and hire criminal mercenary groups to stage terror attacks all over the world, to finance other terror groups, to stage bombings here in the U.S., to do it all so the system can take our liberties and freedoms and pose as our saviors. And it is so incredibly dangerous on that front. Looking at Korea and China, ex-President Carter sends condolences to Kim Jong-un. And that only props these crazy hereditary dictators up. I understand they've got to have somebody who can diplomatically talk to these people. But why did Donald Rumsfeld, as the head of the big Swiss company back in the mid-1990s, transfer the reactor systems so North Korea could have nuclear weapons? Continuing, Finland finds Patriot missiles on China-bound ship marked as fireworks. See, while you're busy being told to be scared to death of Al-Qaeda under the table, 10,000-plus missiles, 2,000-plus that are high-tech, surface-to-air missiles, were basically given to Al-Qaeda and allowed to keep them when Al-Qaeda was given control of Libya by NATO. And that's on record. That's even mainstream news. Pull it up. Pull up London Telegraph headlines like, Al-Qaeda flag now flies over Libya. Al-Qaeda being sent in to fight Syrians. Al-Qaeda works for the globalists that have hijacked this country. People are like, but why would they have them attack us? So they can take all our liberties, blame Iraq that had nothing to do with it, and invade them. Now they're blaming Iran for 9/11. Next, they'll blame you. Or maybe Santa Claus for it. Everybody but who's involved. The Finnish authorities have impounded an Isle of Man flagship bound for China with undeclared missiles and explosives. British or U.S. government, they're always doing this. Police are questioning the crew of the MS Thor Liberty after what were described as 69 Patriot anti-missile missiles were found on board. Freeman in Oklahoma, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Alex, how are you doing?
Pretty good, sir.
Yeah, I'm a former military, retired, well, disabled vet.
What's your view of all this?
Well, I'm not, this NDAA is a bunch of BS, I think. It's ridiculous. I mean, I was in all three components of the Army within the first year, and being in the Guard and the Reserve, they had us out on the streets doing stuff. And so I was like, okay, this is a little bit strange. And now they're talking about imprisoning citizens and all this. It's ridiculous.
Well, they know they're getting ready to collapse the country. But, yeah, no, all over the country in the last 10 years, high school football games, random highways, the videos come in almost every week of just troops searching cars, regular Army, big Army, National Guard, Marines, Air Force MPs with TSA. And I'm like, hey, this is going on. You should be concerned. They're getting us ready for it. And that's the thing. When they bring the military in, they didn't do it for whatever cover story they've got. They've been getting ready for this for a long time, Freeman, obviously, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've been, they were out, well, when I was in, we were training for minor stuff like that, it seemed like. And I was like, why are we doing some of this stuff? This is pointless. And now I'm starting to see it all fit together.
No, they just have you're like, why do we go to a baseball game and stand around and search little kids' purses? Because you're training that little kid to be a slave.
Yeah, they had us doing stuff like that, too. And I'm like, no. No,
I know. I've gotten countless state guards and National Guard videos and photos at high school football games searching little kids. And it's just so little kids get trained, men in green uniforms, search me. Do you want to tell any more of those stories about searching people's bags? Where'd you do that?
Well, we actually did that at a game we went to up here in this town called Chickasha one time.
Stay there. I want to hear about this, and we'll go to Matt, Mike, Perry, and others. I've got it in my films like Martial Law, 3-hour documentary, but you can look it up in your town, and you just show up at the basketball game, the football game, or you're driving on the highway, and there's National Guard wanting to search your car or search your kids. And it's 100% acclamation for the local police, everybody. So when they take over America, the troops, the public, everybody just goes, well, that's what they do. Remember 2 years ago, it's in my Police State 4 film, they were setting up 15 different agencies with Homeland Security running it, TSA, Air Force, Army, State Police, DEA, FBI. It was 15 agencies in Tennessee and in 4 surrounding states were just shutting down highways and searching people. People were freaking out, even in small towns. And the governor said, feds, you get out of here. You can't do it. And they literally said, John Warner Defense Authorization Act, shut up. And now Tennessee, you saw it in the news 2 months ago, and other states, has TSA checkpoints in it. And, man, I saw the video on the news. The families drive up to these checkpoints, and they've got the state police with those Marine Corps drill sergeant hats, and they got their hands out to their side like they're looking at Al-Qaeda, and they're just like, oh God, Al-Qaeda's everywhere, with the Army and TSA out there. I mean, you're just pulling up into pure treason, and they're all jacked up out of their minds like it's all real. Crazy people. And you notice we had one police officer with the courage to call in. I guarantee you they're out there with little Marine Corps hats on listening, going, yeah, they're the enemy, the American people. Okay, whatever. Side with the foreign banks. Go along with it because you're so scared of Al-Qaeda that works for the Pentagon. I mean, it just, you will not wake up, will you? A lot of you are, but I don't know when. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take. It doesn't matter, though. You will be judged for what you're part of. And I'm going to stop ranting. Freeman, real quick. So, how long ago, you said you got out of the regular Army and were in the National Guard. How long ago were you going around to the football games and things, searching people?
This was back in 2006. And they told us that this was training for, trained to check kids in Iraq. Is what they told us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was it a baseball, football, basketball? What was it?
It was a baseball game.
And, I mean, the families just came through and the military searched them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a total psyop. God bless you. Well, wow. And imagine, you're in the National Guard, you're going, this is stupid. I mean, I've got videos and photos of 3-year-old girls in one case, and she's got a little purse. and the military searches it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. This is so sick. Matt in Ohio. Matt, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
Pretty good, sir.
This is kind of off topic, but I just wanted to bring it up. I didn't know if you heard anything about it. Have you heard about this $1 trillion lawsuit that's supposed to be filed against the United Nations and the Federal Reserve on behalf of something called the Dragon family? I actually checked on Pacer.gov, and this actually exists. The lawsuit. It looks like they're trying to sue all these people because of gold that was taken away from them years ago, and the person behind it that's been reporting on it is Benjamin Fulford. I don't know too much about him. I don't know if he's legitimate or not.
I've been hearing a lot about Benjamin Fulford, and I used to write for Forbes and got an interview with David Rockefeller. I know about that from Japan. We'll go ahead and get him on about it, and email to showtips@infowars.com, the particular lawsuit filing site where I can actually see that. And where is the lawsuit filed?
It's actually on Pacer.gov. It's just like a government website.
No, I know what it is.
Yeah. Now, I believe the civil lawsuit case is 8500. It's like civil case number 8500, I believe.
Yeah, but I got to know what court. I got to know what court.
Yeah, I'm not.
Look. Just find me the link and send it to me. I really can't comment on it till I've learned more. What do you think about the fact that they're pretty much now unveiling martial law in America?
Warn as many people as I could, my family, and my friends, and they just don't want to hear it. They're in total denial. But I mean, all I can do is just keep going at it, and hopefully they come around.
I hear you. Only by people awakening can we turn this around. And a lot of people think if they just stay ignorant, somehow that makes it all go away. I really appreciate your call, sir. Let's start going to another one. We'll come back after break. Mike in Canada, what's on your mind? Oh, and then Perry in Arizona and Vulture and others. Mike, when we come back from break, what do you want to talk about?
Ron Paul, Alex.
Well, start hitting it. What do you want to talk about with Ron Paul?
Well, I've been watching the news not only every day, but every couple hours to see what the new updates are. And I really think that the newsletter thing is going to backfire. He's going to keep gaining.
I tell you what, let me hit the Ron Paul news stack when we come back. I'll go back to you to get your response, more calls. Then I'll get into these Stinger missiles they caught going to China. We're going back to Mike in Canada here in a moment, then Dale, Vulture, Tom, Perry, and others. And then after I take those 5 or 6 calls, I'm going to get into the rest of the news, geopolitically, the Stinger missiles that a European country caught trying to be shipped into China. Very suspicious. And more on the big top story. This is the first time ever that it's confirmed. We have the congressional reports. We have Rex 84. We have the Military Commissions Act and the rest of it. But here you have them saying that the military is going to man the camps, that it's for political reasons and for takeover of all facets of government and society, and that the government's listed as blue forces and the American people as the enemy with transponders. And the government pulled this within 1 hour of it going up at Infowars.com. So get this article out to everybody, and we have the Department of Defense whistleblower video interview from the nightly news last night posted in there. Please get this out to everybody. Facebook, Twitter, friends and family, neighbors, police officers, you name it. Okay, let's get into some of this news so I can get back to your calls before our next guest comes on. Here it is, CNN poll, Ron Paul, most popular Republican amongst non-whites. And they dug through thousands of newsletters to find a few things that are kind of flippant. But for mainline Republican stuff, this is nothing. I mean, they say terrible racist stuff all the time, and that's just fine and dandy. This is stuff like, well, when the blacks will stop rioting in South Central when the welfare checks arrive. And then Paul, decades ago, said he didn't write that. Some bad things that were in the FBI files, who knows if they're true, about probably aren't. Martin Luther King, sex with, people or whatever. And that came out 5 years after Paul had voted to put Martin Luther King Day out there and had given speeches about how he admired Martin Luther King standing up against tyranny. And Paul reportedly got really mad. And I know Ron Paul. I know all the lore. I've known his whole crew, the different crews. I know all the inside baseball. I'll never talk. But a lot of good people. The point is, Ron Paul is the real deal. He doesn't sell out. He doesn't care what people think about him. So if he didn't like Martin Luther King, he would tell you. You understand that? So the point is, it's all bull, but they're using it because they're desperate. They keep saying he can't win. You're not listening to the mind control. Now looks like he's going to be in first in New Hampshire and Iowa. He's come up second or first, depending on which poll you see, in Nevada. Those articles are at Infowars.com. It's meteoric, and it shows how big the awakening is. They keep saying in the news, troops don't like him because he doesn't want to keep the wars going. 70+% of all presidential donations in both parties for Obama and the other 7 Republicans go to him. It's all hoaxes. I'm not going to give it attention because it's what they want, and I could definitely win a lawsuit against them. But there is a Dallas publication that I remember 6 months ago implied I was working for the communist Chinese. I mean, it was bizarre. And it's a mainline publication. Today they said, well, Ron Paul hangs out with the known racist who hates black people, Alex Jones, you know, the hardcore racist. And I saw that and I thought, man, I don't have time to sue this guy. But, I mean, if I don't, what next is he going to say? I support the NDAA bill, getting rid of bestiality or something, and I'm raping possums. I mean, it's that ridiculous. But I looked at every comment. You know, I'm a military in Afghanistan. You can eat bleep. You know, Alex Jones is great and fights racism and blah, 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 and stands up for the little guy. You scum. I mean, and I didn't even have time to read the 50-something comments. I just scanned through them. Everyone was going, you're a yellow journalist, trash. You ought to get sued. Nobody buys you. But, I mean, that's what they're resorting to. Alex Jones works for the Chinese government. Alex Jones hates black people. I mean, what? What? I mean, they are getting really desperate. Like that headline in CBS News. Alex Jones, you know, Ron Paul likes Alex Jones, and Alex Jones says they put stuff in the water to make you gay. I read the BBC and Associated Press about gender bending and men having higher estrogen and it changing their different glands in their bodies, confusing sexual activity, but also in every other mammal that is in the food chain now. I mean, that's just, I was reading BBC, but that's how they spin it. I'm reading BBC on air. You can type in right now, gender bending chemicals, into Google, changing men and women's physiology. I also covered breast cancer increasing. But by the time they're done, the big homophobe says you're gay because they put it in your water. I mean, you know, this is what they do. This is how they attack science, how they attack research. Oh, I saw Bloomberg, CBS, ABC, just literally hundreds that I can't even have time to read all of them, saying Ron Paul is just terrible. He went on Alex Jones' show and said there's a plan to use the military against the people in martial law. It's totally insane. Meanwhile, across the political spectrum, constitutional lawyers say this makes the government a dictatorship and allows them to kill citizens. Just absolute nightmare. And they're all over the news. I mean, you type Alex Jones, Ron Paul in. Just to find these, there's hundreds every day. But then and I agree with the caller. I mean, it's going to backfire on them. But see, they just want you to think Ron Paul's been destroyed when they start stealing the elections with the black boxes. But you say, well, then why vote? Why? Because we're going to expose that. And because Ron Paul running exposes them. And if he gets such a big landslide like with Rand Paul and it totally backfires, they won't be able to steal it. They can only steal by small margins from top experts in my own research. We'll get Bev Harris back on if you want from Black Box Voting to go over that. But this is it. And this is how they operate. And as you can see, and I told you when he went into first place over the weekend, I said, get ready to hear that he's a Ku Klux Klan Grand Dragon. I mean, get ready to hear he is. And they're like, this crazy racist. I actually saw an article saying this crazy racist Ron Paul thinks that AIDS was created to kill black people. I mean, they even like write crazy oxymoron stuff. It's like, who are these people they hire? And mainstream articles have spelling errors and jumbled stuff all over it. I mean, who are, I guess, to hire traitors, because a lot of good media people have left the mainstream media. That's another reason there's a brain drain out of the dinosaur media, and that's why the alternative media is now the media.